Hey everybody, it is Ellen Juddy um, coming out to you for the second February PLC for dance. Our topic this time is digital teaching and learning examples. I thought we could talk about some, experiences with the digital world, which we're going through right now, things that work at my school with my dancers, things that haven't worked, just some general things, maybe about digital teaching. Hopefully, by now, you are getting into some kind of rhythm and, getting used to this temporary normal. I'm going to call it temporary. So anyway, digital teaching will be the topic for this webinar. All right. So I did just want to get this out of the way. I figured it might be good to get some things off our chest first. I stopped in the hall the other day and was commiserating with the chorus teacher, who, my gosh, singing in these times, I really feel for the chorus teacher. But we were like, we're so tired. We're just tired, tired of, Zooming and Googling, tired of the Zoom zombies is what I call them. Even if their cameras are on, it's like, just blank. And then, of course, cameras, that's a whole other subject that I will get to. The class is awkward, because if you have all digital kids, I guess they're not really mixing. And then if you have in-person and digital, they're not mixing. So the class is just awkward. You're squinting at like little boxes to see if somebody's foot is pointed or knee is bent. And then my newest pet peeve is the music delay. It drives me nuts. I can't. You just can't tell anything. You just sort of have to hope that they're on the beat of the music, and that's what it is. So I didn't want to jump down the rabbit hole of negativity today. I just wanted to let us get at least one biggest pet peeve of the digital realm that is, driving us nuts. So maybe we can do that in the discussion. Again, not to go crazy negative, just wanted to get that kind of thing off of our chest. So I figured I'd start again with not being negative, so with an attitude and perspective in the digital dance realm. So I think the only way I've continue to get through this is just to try to be positive, look at the good things and what works. Quickly tell you a little bit about where I'm at with teaching this year. We were digital for the first 2 weeks. Everybody was digital, and my county gave each family their own decision, in person or digital. After those first 2 weeks, all the kids were staggered. And so the 9th graders came back after 2 weeks. The 10th graders came back after 3 weeks, and so on. So by January, we have, and now we have 50% of our students in the building. It really seems so very empty. Now I'm getting used to it a little bit, but the hallways are just empty. I have hall duty for my lunch 3 days a week, and it's just... I don't even need to do it. There's no kids to police. It's just, nobody's there. So anyway, my school is on a staggered schedule. So Monday and Wednesday, the kids do a lot of their core classes. And then on Tuesday, Thursday are the electives, fine arts and some of the other electives. This has left me sane because I don't have to do a live Zoom every single day for every single class period. Bless you for those who do it. I don't, we all get used to what we're doing, but that would be rough. The Tuesday, Thursday synchronous Zoom is hard. So the Monday, Wednesday, when I don't have to do that, has been nice. Fridays are a flex Friday for us. So they recommend that you don't do any new content and use it for remediation or review, or as I've said in the other webinar, we use it to just work on whatever the kids want to work on. My fourth period last week wanted to start to learn forte turns. So, we began with the passe to the extend to the front and the rond de jambe side. So, that's the kind of thing we do on Fridays. So that has been nice to not have to Zoom 5 days a week, 7 periods a day. Bless you if you do that. The first couple months, it was just craziness, utter madness. So then, December came around and you're like, oh, I can breathe. It's Christmas break. And I was like, I don't know that there's any reason for me to work quite this hard. So I decided to just try to make things as easy as possible for my students and for myself. That has sort of been my situation and my perspective. And my attitude is simple. This is temporary. I try to keep a positive attitude. I love my job. I love my school. I love my students. I love being the lead teacher here in the county and supporting the other teachers. So, I mean, no choice. I mean, I love dance. I live dance. And so I will get through this. And so that is basically my attitude. And it's really gotten me through. And knowing that this is temporary, albeit a long temporary, if you would have told me, whenever over this, I don't know what, spring, that we would be doing this in person and digital all year this year, I would have been like, nah, no, we won't. Yet here we are, and there's even talk about a digital option for fall. So anyway, I've just tried to keep it as simple as possible. I love dance, and this is temporary, and we can, we'll get through it. My perspective, it's just dance. Now I say that, and I don't want it to be controversial because I know that we fight and we struggle to prove that we are essential for a well-rounded education. We work really hard to make our administrators and our administrations realize that what we do is relevant and important and needed. So when I say just dance, I'm not belittling us in any way, shape, or form, but I just mean in the grand scheme of this year and of the pandemic, if my intro kids don't perfect a pirouette turn or don't understand how to brush the foot on the floor in a tendu, if my advanced students don't, work on their expressive skills as much and don't, move up in that way, if I don't get through every single piece of dance history that I've gotten through for the last, 11 years, I'm not going to sweat it. It is fine. If we don't get through everything we would in a normal year, they'll catch up. We'll return to normal, so that's also been my perspective, just that we have to just, sorry, I say we, but me, I had to just calm down, take a breath, and know that it will be fine. So that's sort of how I gotten through this year. Yeah, because I was giving them all kinds of these crazy assignments, these written assignments that we do. And, we're a performance-based class. So I was exhausting them. I was like, I can't believe I just assigned this and now I have to grade it. I was reading and grading and just blah. So nope, we're going to take the simple route. And actually, I've sort of let go of a little bit of the control freak that I am. And the students have sort of taken, I don't know, they've taken, control of things. They've stepped up. Some of the kids that would have been very reserved and quiet online are like, Miss Ellen, I want to do a student I want to choreograph. Some of the in-person kids who wouldn't have been leaders before are stepping up. So sort of a learning experience for myself for a normal year. Maybe I'm a little too much of a control freak. But anyway, that's another webinar. But anyway, so my attitude and perspective is just try to be as positive as we can to get through everything. Okay, so consistency is important in a normal year. The value of consistency. So that was the other thing that I've been trying to do this year. So when we went digital in March, and I'm sure you did this too, I think I learned, it felt like 50 different apps. All these different tools that I could use for online. And so I bombarded the dancers with all these things. And I don't think our students, and obviously I'm talking high school students here, are as tech savvy as we think they are. Yes, they can do whatever they want on their phones. But I had kids who didn't know how to put a picture in a Google slide. I had kids last year who didn't know how to email. So I don't think they're quite as tech savvy as we think. So that's been my one big thing this year that I've only used really two. We have an online platform here in the county that does everything. So I've got a course homepage. I have content that I can build lessons in, Dropbox feature. I have a quiz feature. I have everything that really, a discussion feature that I can use. So I decided to just stick with that. And then I did use Flipgrid. But by September, I had what I call Flipgrid fatigue, and so did they. I mean, there's only so many things you can put on Flipgrid, so many videos. So I sort of got away from that in September. And so, if they have a video to upload, I have them put it on our platform. Occasionally, I will use the Google Drive that we have, but so I've just stuck with those two things, and that's been easy and it's been consistent for the kids. I've also, on my course homepage, which I'm sure it's whatever platform or things you guys use. I'm sure you have something like that. I've been consistently on asynchronous days putting up stupid Bitmojis, which you see here, that little one up there. And I can put the directions and links for the lesson. They each have a class folder. So on the course homepage, they go there, and then they have the directions for the day, and then they can go to their class folders. And then, I told you when I introduced myself that I'm a big dog person. So I, occasionally put dog pictures up there with silly captions. So in my head, the narrative is that they go on to the course homepage when they're supposed to, because they want to see what silly Bitmoji Miss Ellen put up, or at least that's what I say in my head. So anyway, so consistency using not very many online tools and just a personalization has really worked to keep them engaged here at my school. So what is happening in our virtual and concurrent classes? So I will play my little video for you. Really, and isn't that how you feel? Like if you're teaching concurrently, or just this whole year? So this was a yoga day. I had the kids online. We were doing yoga in there, and so it was just, that's how I feel, constantly running. So anyway, so what is happening in our classrooms? So leaving kids in to the synchronous Zoom, I have found that I'm letting the in-person kids admit the digital kids on the synchronous days. It allows a little bit of interaction between the two groups. So it'll alleviate some of that weirdness because there's a little bit of interaction between the kids. Not much, but sometimes they'll strike up a conversation and, talk to each other. And then, the other ones will come behind and say, hey, and say hi. Now, again, I'm very lucky because I can trust my Zoom kids. I haven't had any trouble with them signing on with a different name, how they silly names. So they all put their name on, so I know it's them, and then I can trust my in-person kids to do the right thing and let them in. So I'm lucky in that way. So that's helped a little bit. If you are teaching concurrently, it might be something to think about if you can trust them. Actually, it's funny, in the years past, all we want is for the students to stop chitter-chattering and do your plie or do your tendu or whatever. And then this year, all I want is for a little bit of chitter-chatter in the classes. It's can't find a good medium. All right, so digital technique and choreo has definitely been interesting. As I said before, I focus on modern, contemporary, and jazz to deliver technique content. So in the beginning of the year, I used the NDEO standards to create a safe place to dance at home. Of course, they were suggestions because each kid has a unique home situation. Floor work and pirouettes on carpet is not ideal. So, but we do the best we can. Usually I do put out modifications for the digital students. So for instance, if we're doing Batma in the studio, I will tell the online kids to either do a dégagé or a lower Batma and focus on brushing the foot on the floor and the articulation of the metatarsal rather than trying to get the leg high. So that's a modification that I've made, or modification that I'll throw out, just so I'm always cognizant of telling the online kids, don't kick a lamp, don't hurt yourself, whatever. And there's, the other day, Dad was in the kitchen while we were working on fuetes. He's like, hey, Dad, and then there's always dogs, which I love, cats, and there's my student choreographer from 5th period. Her house is full. I think Grandma walked by at one point in her bathrobe, and the little brother is in the background. So, I just try to make sure that they're safe. We have worked on choreo, and we just finished a student piece in my advanced class, so I do know it's possible. And all the student choreographers so far have been online. That's not true. I do have one who finished a piece in here. And then we did take a lot of time to try to place those digital kids in spots, so we took a piece of paper, we X, this is Annie, this is, blah, blah, blah. So that took a little bit of extra time, but it's been working. Also the directions, it's killing us. you know how a dance teacher will be like, okay, surprise, flip to the back of the room and do the dance without the mirror. It's like, we're going to be pros at this. And we face side, we face back, we face up. This has really honed those skills. Teaching concurrently, I'm trying to be conscious of splitting the time between digital and in person, but this is really hard. But I just try to be conscious of that. Instinctively, you're going to be drawn to who is in front of you, rather than unnaturally going to a computer and looking, to see. So I just try to remember to split my time as best I can. I do take videos for the online kids, and I'll either take them of the students at the end of class that are in here in person, or I'll do them myself in the studio alone. And I'll talk more about that in a second. And I do use a service that converts the .movie, because I use my iPhone, to MP4, and that is my choice. It's $10 a month. Our online platform, if you upload the .movie, it will give you a link that downloads onto their computer. So that would just not be good, and it doesn't look good. So an MP4 will just pop up on the online platform. So that's why I did that, but that's my choice. And then today, I don't know if I just haven't ever thought of this, but that we were creating a new jazz dance. And one of the in-person girls was like, well, Miss Ellen, why don't you just hit record on the Zoom meeting while we do the dance, and then that way you can send that to the kids. And I was like, well, that's brilliant. I had never thought of that. So we did that today, and then the Zoom downloads a link onto your computer. I did put that on the online platform, but that doesn't download anything. It just gives them a link. So I thought that was brilliant. Here it is, almost March. But so that's something else to think about. You might have to record your whole Zoom anyway. I don't know, whatever your school rules are, your district's rules. Another aside, just be cognizant of uploading videos to your online platform for your digital students. Make sure you know what your policies are. If you have a district policy, if you have a school policy, that your student, because how easy would it be for you to put that video of the choreo up and then have an online student or even an in-person student go on the online platform and take a little Snapchat video and put the Snapchat up and be like, make fun of it, making fun of somebody. So I make sure that the students know that I don't tolerate that. It did happen to me in the very beginning of the year. It was a Zoom. Everybody was on Zoom. So it was in the first 2 weeks. I had a little, hit girls with history in the class. And so one of them took a couple second video of our Zoom, our Zoom, and then put that on Snapchat. So that didn't go well. So, we're past it. We have figured it out, and it hasn't happened again. But that's also something to think about. So I thought this would be a good time to talk about cameras. How do we assess if there's no camera? This, hopefully we can get into a discussion about this. And again, I don't want to dive down the rabbit hole of negativity either with this, but it's a challenge. So, what is your experience with this? Does your district or school have a policy on cameras on? How do you deal with it? Is this even an issue? Do all your students turn their cameras on? Most of mine do. I insist. I don't think when it comes down to it that I can't tie a grade to it. So it's not like I can make them turn the camera on. But I insist, and most of my students oblige. How can you, can't assess dance if the camera's not on? What are you going to do? So we're already doing registration for next year. And there's a couple girls in my intro class that barely turn their camera on, or when they turn their camera on, it'll be like right here. I'm like, okay, can't see anything that way either. And usually my dancers would move up from intro to the next level, and they're not going to move up, and they're not going to be happy about it. But if I haven't been able to see you, I don't know what you're doing. So, but anyway, I would be interested to hear how you're dealing with the cameras. If they're turning them on, if they're not. I'm assuming that our more advanced classes all the cameras are going on. And then, maybe our intro kids who aren't as comfortable with dance, maybe their cameras aren't on. So for assessment, I've gone easy on the assessments, and I'm not doing quite as much as I would in a normal year. I was really bent on keeping our dress code, which is all black, just black bottoms, black tops, no logos, tight fitting. I was like, I'm going to do it. Those online kids, they're going to get out of bed, they're going to change, and they're going to be ready for class. And, The online kid, I mean, the in-person kids, they're obviously going to do the same. I think that lasted all of never, because it got to the point where I was like, well, are the online kids showing up? Number one, are your cameras on? Number two, and like, I don't even care if you're in jeans, just as long as I can see you. So if I'm not assessing the online kids on that, it's like hard to keep the in-person kids, on task with that as well. But somehow I've talked the in-person kids into keeping that dress code. The intro kids are having a little issue because they haven't ever been in the dance department, and so they don't know that, that standard. So it's been a little bit of an issue, but at least they're dressing out into something. It's not like they're not dancing. So the biggest part of the grade this year for dance is what I call the daily dance assessment. Are you on time for class? Is your hair secured and off the face? And I just talked about dress code. I've gone lenient on that, as long as you can move. Are you focused and engaged? And are you doing what you're supposed to do in class? So that's the biggest part of their grade. And there's, some other assignments that we're doing. So yeah, I mean, this is basically what we're doing this year with dance. I did get okayed to do a theater show in the spring, in May. I have all kinds of, there's only 20% capacity in the audience, masks and all that kind of stuff. But that'll be their major final, which it is usually every year. But so at least I'll have that this year. So that is what I'm assessing on this year, and the other different assignments, which brings me to this. I just thought I'd throw in 2 asynchronous assignment ideas. One is using the Amanda Gorman poem from the inauguration. And then I've been doing something every Wednesday this month with Black History, so I will show you what I did with that. So I'm sure, you might have already done an Amanda Gorman poem assignment. So basically, this is sort of what it looked like on the online platform. So I had them, I linked the video of her speech, of her poem. I had them go through it and read it. I'm sure they had watched it or did. I know a lot of language arts teachers use this as well. So I had them watch the video. They were to create a short phrase, and I literally 8 to 16 counts. So it didn't have to be much. And I told them they had a lot of options. So they could base the phrase on the whole poem, so the overall idea of her words, or they could pick a section or a phrase of words to base a phrase of words to base the movement phrase on. And I said, she's got these hand gesture things that she does, and the picture of her, she's doing this. And I said, they could even look at her hand gestures and create movement from them. So I gave them a lot of ideas with how to create the movement. And then I said it just should be genuinely based on the ideas and the words of her poem. And then they were to create the phrase and then make a video of it. And I said they could choose music. They didn't have to use music. They could use music. It didn't matter. Make the video, and then they would upload it to I gave them 2 choices, because we do have a Google Drive. I said they could upload it to Google, or they could upload it to our online platform. So that was a good one. I think they really enjoyed it. I got some really cool things from the kids for this one. The GSE alignment, I just put these up here. Demonstrate an understanding of dance as a form of communication. Identify and demonstrate movement elements and skills and terminology, because they've got to use some of the dance skills that they know. And of course, engagement, self-reflection. So they're, I did not have them write anything with this assignment, but I think this whole thing is a reflection. This whole assignment is. I did not put a rubric up for either of these assignments. I can, if somebody wants me to write rubrics for this, and then I can put them in the discussion. I just thought, our kids are so different. The rubric might be very personal for your students, and that's why I didn't do it, but I would be glad to write one. So maybe I will, and then I'll throw it up there in the discussion. All right. And then the next one was Black History Month. So they were going to pick a dancer. So I gave them a list. So I made a form. I made a Google form, and I'm going to open this. Hopefully this works. I have a big long list of Black dance artists, so I split it up. And so for tomorrow, we're actually going to do the second part of the list. So this had Camille Brown, Rennie Harris, Aisha Ash, Josephine Baker, Misty Copeland, Arthur Mitchell, Khadijah Nicholas, and then Debbie Allen. So we were all over the map with that, older and newer. I had them do the birthday. And then I had them do a biography of training, professional career, teaching career. And this was all them typing in the form. So this was easy. And then I had them do a search to look for the artist dancing or choreography by the artist. And then I wanted them to write what compelled them to the particular video. And then I wanted them to write one sentence as to why they were compelled to pick that video of that choreographer. I asked them to put a link in there. And then I wanted them to write a short review of their choice. So I wanted them to include what they see. So costumes, choreo, lighting, dance space, etc. And then what they think. So that is what they like, what they dislike. You know, what are the opinions on the dance? 4 to 5 full sentences. So it's not a ton of writing, then we'd have to grade that. So keep it short. So no bullet points. So then all they do is submit. So it's great. And then the GSE alignment demonstrates an understanding creative and choreographic principles, processes, and structures, demonstrate critical and creative thinking aspects in dance, and then demonstrate an understanding of dance as it relates to other areas of knowledge. So for this February webinar, the digital teaching and learning examples, or just do a quick wrap up. Let's acknowledge the challenges of the year. Things we got to get through the year. We got to get through it. There are some negatives, but we need to stay positive. I think keep a grounded perspective. Like I said, don't go crazy. Don't kill yourself. Know that the kids, they're going to catch up, right? It will be fine. You will get them back caught up. We will be dancing. So just keep that grounded perspective. Like I said, go easy on them. It's all good. And then making things as easy as possible for yourself to keep your sanity. and we will get through this. There's another Bitmoji. Yeah. So anyway, that's it for this webinar. So I will put this up in the discussion, and hopefully we can chat about digital teaching and learning for this year. All right. Thank you.